Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. I welcome you to the series on history, science, and faith in Islam. It's designed to foster a renewal of faith based on knowledge of our history, science, and culture. In the current session, we'll focus on the conquest of Delhi by Muhammad Ghori. For a brief moment, towards the end of the 12th century, the Muslim world was politically united under one Khalifa ruling from Baghdad. This political unity, rare in Islamic history, projected itself on the military plane. In West Asia, the Crusaders were ejected from Palestine, Lebanon, and Syria. Salahuddin recaptured Jerusalem in 1187. 4 years later, in 1191, Muhammad Ghori of Ghazna crossed the Indus, defeated Prithvi Raj Chauhan of Delhi, and conquered Hindustan. 5 years after this momentous conquest, in 1196, the Al-Muhaddis Yaqub al-Mansur won a decisive victory against the Crusaders at the Battle of Arcos in Spain. For about 30 years, Muslim power was unchallenged on the globe. 5 years after the Battle of Hittin in 1186, in which Salahuddin routed the Crusaders, another battle of equal historical importance was fought at Tarain on the plains of the Punjab between Muhammad Ghori of Ghazna and Prithviraj Chauhan of Delhi. The outcome of this battle paved the way for the establishment of the Delhi Sultanate. It was the first gambit in the creation of an Islamic community in the subcontinent, which today numbers more than 500 million and is by far the largest Islamic community in the world. The vast Indian subcontinent of 1192 was a divided land rent asunder by the mutual passions and jealousies of the ruling Rajput princes. Prithvi Raj, a dashing prince of the Chauhan dynasty, who had an equal penchant for love and war, ruled Delhi and Ajmer. Further to the east, Jai Chand, the Raja of Kanauj, was at odds with Prithvi because Jai Chand's daughter had married Prithvi against her father's wishes. This violated the Rajput code of honor, and Jai Chand had vowed to get even with his son-in-law. Rival princes held Banaras, Ujjain, Bundelkhand, Bengal, Malwa, and Gujarat. The Rashtrakutas were in power in central India. The Chola, Pandya, and Chera kingdoms prospered in southern India. The storms that become manifest as critical moments in history are first played out in the minds of men and women. It is in the minds and hearts and souls of humans that lust and passion, love and hatred, power and prejudice, greed and benevolence are first sorted out. When these conflicts are projected on the world plane, facts are created and the canvas of history rolls forward, offering new possibilities for human action. Thus it was that the rivalry between Prithvi Raj and Jai Chand, born out of a love affair between Prithvi Raj and Jai Chand's daughter, played a critical role in the conquest of Delhi by the Afghans. For 300 years after the conquest of Sindh, Mansura, and Multan by Muhammad bin Qasim in 711 of the Common Era, the frontier between the Khilafat in Baghdad and the Rajput strongholds in India remained more or less stationary. Mahmud's raids between 1000 and 1026 CE shattered this equilibrium and showed up the weaknesses in the Indian defenses. The majestic but slow-moving elephants in the Rajput armies were no match for the swift, enveloping movements of the horsemen from Central Asia. After Mahmud, there were no major incursions into the subcontinent from the northwest, and the Rajputs were able to consolidate their hold on the territories of central Punjab. The status quo was changed by the Ghoris, a resilient tribe of Afghan Turkomans who had challenged the Ghaznavids from the mountains of Ghor, located between Kabul and Herat. In 1173, Ghayasuddin Ghori established himself as an independent ruler in Ghor, and after capturing Ghazna itself, appointed his brother Mu'inuddin Muhammad Ghori as his lieutenant in the eastern provinces. Tough, resilient, resourceful, and endowed in abundance with leadership qualities, Muhammad Ghori cast his eyes east towards Hindustan. India was too rich a prize for any enterprising prince to disregard. But first, he had to deal with the amirs and the Muslim princes of Afghanistan and the Punjab. By 1177, he had added Multan, Uch, Dera, and portions of Sindh to Ghorid dominions. In 1178, he led a raid on Patan in Gujarat, but suffered a setback. Turning his attention northwards, he captured Peshawar, Sialkot, and Lahore. Initial forays eastward towards Delhi were not fruitful, and on more than one occasion, Muhammad Ghori was cornered by the Rajputs, but escaped after paying a ransom. However, an opportunity presented itself in 1190 when he successfully attacked and took the fort of Bathinda. This skirmish led to a series of military actions with fateful consequences for the subcontinent. The Raja Bathinda was an ally of Prithviraj Chauhan of Delhi. Treaty obligations compelled Prithviraj to advance from Delhi to meet the Afghans. Muhammad Ghori was returning to Kabul when news reached him of the Rajput advance. He turned around to defend Bathinda, even though some of his cavalry had already preceded him to Kabul. The two armies met at Tarain in 1191. Ghori fought bravely, but the charge of the Indian elephants broke through the Afghan defenses. Ghori was injured and barely escaped with his life. Undaunted, Ghori regrouped in Kabul and returned the following year. This time, Prithvi was supported by a large number of Rajput princes. However, Jai Chand, Raja of Kanauj, who had vowed to avenge his daughter's honor, supported Muhammad Ghori. The armies met at the Second Battle of Tarain, fought in 1192. the Indian forces charged, spearheaded by the Elephant Corps. But this time the Afghans feigned a retreat. Then, turning around in a rapid enveloping movement, trapped the Indian center. The Rajputs dispersed. Prithviraj was taken prisoner and later died in captivity. The victory at Tarain made Muhammad Ghori the master of Hindustan. After capturing Delhi, Ajmer, and surrounding territories, he nominated his Mamluk lieutenant Qutbuddin Aibak as his deputy and returned to Ghazna. Meanwhile, his generals fanned out across the Gangetic plains and in swift movements reminiscent of the advance of Tariq and Musa in Spain 500 years earlier, captured Bihar and Bengal. Jaichand, Raja of Kanauj, who had hitherto supported Muhammad Ghori, was upset with the Muslim advance beyond his territories. He resisted but was defeated in a pitched battle in 1193. By 1205, all of the Indo-Gangetic plains were under Ghorid control. Ghiyasuddin Ghori died in 1202 and Muhammad Ghori ascended the throne of Ghazna. Much of the time of the new Sultan was occupied with containing the Turkish invasions from the north. In 1205, he suffered a defeat at the hands of Karakhitai Turkish tribe. Rumors spread that Muhammad Ghori was killed in this battle. Sensing an opportunity, the Kokhars of the Punjab revolted under the leadership of the local Raja. The uprising was so well organized that Punjab was cut off from both Ghazna and Delhi. The revolt was crushed only when a pincer movement was organized, wherein Muhammad Ghori descended from the north, while Qutbuddin Aibak advanced from Delhi to the south. While returning to Kabul after his successful engagement, Ghori was assassinated by a Fatimid assassin in 1206. With the conquest of Delhi, the center of gravity of the Islamic world began to shift to the east, a process accelerated by the Mongol invasions between 1219 and 1261, and the resulting destruction of Central Asia and Persia. It paved the way for successive Muslim dynasties in India and Pakistan, culminating with the magnificent Mughals between 1526 and 1707. The people of Hindustan entered the fold of a global Islamic community, taking their place alongside the Arabs, Persians, Turks, and Africans. In time, this would be augmented with the great Islamic communities of Indonesia and Malaysia. Islam took root in the subcontinent, giving birth to a flourishing and unique Indian Muslim civilization in a Hindu matrix. Lahore, Delhi, Agra, Lucknow, and Hyderabad flourished as centers of Islamic learning, art, and culture, rivaling and sometimes surpassing Samarkand, Bukhara, Damascus, and Kharawun. In the 20th century, it paved the way for the birth of the modern nations of India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. This brings to a close our session on the conquest of Delhi. In the next session, inshallah, we will shift our focus all the way to the Maghrib al-Aqsa, the farthest west, and examine the life and times of Abdul Rahman III of Spain. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.